Okay, this is the second video for S5. S5 is on grouped data. So let me tell you about cumulative frequency, tables, and graphs. Let's start with the table. Okay, so let's start with the table and show you how it works. So you might be given a table with the classes and the frequencies. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to do it with less than or equal to's. In here I have it written from the previous year. I have it written with interval notation, but I'm not sure that you're quite as comfortable with the interval notation. So let me teach it this way, and we're still on time, technically. So this is less than 4. Let me change that to be better. Whoops, hey, my eraser's not working. Okay, so here we have t, and our frequency was 1, and then our frequency was 15, our frequency was 7, 9, and 1, and then this was what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, less than or equal to, 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 less than or equal to. It is better if the equal to's are on the other portion. So I'm thinking for us, how we can't change it because we based it on real data. So we'll graph it this way, but it is a little bit more appropriate, or at least I like it better, when the less than or equal to's are on the right side, if I'm doing a cumulative frequency. Okay, but it's okay. So the idea on a cumulative frequency is that you still have your times. Okay, so we'll call it hours. Okay, so you still have your hours. And then you have a different column. It's called cumulative frequency. Okay, and what it is it's up to and including. Okay, but the and including we can't really do with our table, so we're going to just do it with a less than. So we start with less than 3. Usually you want to start with a 0 here. Okay, so you go lower than your data. And then less than 4. Now less than 4 are the less than 3's and the less than 4's. So in our case, that's only 1. Now less than 5, think about which categories would be less than 5 or which classes. So less than 5 would be this one. This is less than 5. And then this is also less than 5. So these two numbers right here would be added. Okay, so that means there's 5 data points that are less than 5. So a 5 would go here. And let me just put how we calculated that. That was basically 1 plus 4, just so you know where we got it. And in the next one, we want less than 6. So we take the yellow ones that we had before, but now we have a new yellow one, right? So less than 6 would be all 3 of these. So what would that be altogether? So that'd be 20. And that would really be 1 plus 4 plus 15 from the table. And then you try this one. So try less than 7, less than 8, and then less than 9. Okay, so try that, fill them in, see what you get, see if it makes sense. And then I will write here that I prefer the less than or equal to on the right if I get to choose. Okay. Okay, so that's 20. Then we're going to add another yellow. So that's another 7. So now we're up to 27. And what I'm actually doing is I'm not adding them all up. I'm taking the 20, this 20 right here, and then I'm adding one more section, which is the 7. That's how I got to 27. There's different ways to do it. It just depends on how you think about it. Okay. So the next group, I'm on the less than 8, so I'm going to add another column. So I had 27, now I have 8 more, or 9 more, so that'd be 36, so that's 36. And then I'm less than 9, so that's 1 more, so basically that's 37. And now I should have the whole table. So this last number here, that last number should be n, which is the sum of the frequencies. Okay, so that is a cumulative frequency table. Okay, but then if we graph it, it's called a cumulative frequency graph. So let's write that down. So we're going to draw a cumulative frequency graph. That has a special name. It's called an ogive. An ogive. Okay, so let's see. I kind of need to see that at the same time. Let me draw in the table kind of the idea of what you're going to do. Usually people don't make it in the table. So this is just the way to think about it, not necessarily to write it. But basically what you do is you make a point at 3 and then cumulative frequency. So you kind of make hours your t, and then your cumulative frequency, your y. Oops, I got a little too close to my pen. Your frequency, your y. Okay. Okay, so this would be the 0.41. This would be the 0.55. This would be the 0.620. No one really writes it as a coordinate. I just am showing you since we're not in class. It'll be easier for you to understand this way. So basically, these are coordinates that we're graphing. Okay. And like I said, it would be nicer if these were less than or equal to's instead of less thans. But I've seen it both ways, so it's not required. Okay. Okay, so then we're going to graph these points. So we're going to graph, let me write them on a piece of paper so that I can scroll down. But basically we have 3, 0, which we're going to graph. We're going to graph 4, 1. We're going to graph 5, 5, 6, 20. We're going to graph 7, 27, 8, 36, and 9, 37. Okay, so let me go down here. Let's make sure I'm on graph paper. Okay, and remember, you can't learn math by watching. You do have to be doing. So make sure you're following along, taking notes on it so you can see it, you can do it, and then you need to practice it. So practice on our problems that we post. Okay, so cumulative frequency graph. Okay, so over here it's time, right? So T, we could put hours slept, right? Isn't that what it is? Oops, I can't spell. Okay, so hours of sleep. Okay, and then over here, this side, let me twist my tablet so I can write it, is cumulative frequency. Okay. Now my highest one is 37, so I'm going to have to think of how I want to split this. Probably on your graph paper, maybe you want to go by 4s. Okay, so for me, if I want to go by 4s, I think I could start here, but you can just go by 1 square. So 4, 8, 12, am I going to get to 36? I think I might need to move my graph down a little bit. Let me move my graph down. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, this will work. I think this will work better. So this is 4, this is 12. This is 8. Let me check on mine. That would be 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, I think I make this one 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. So I'll just be right above my line. I think I have space since my cumulative frequency word is heading up. Okay, so let's see. So we have 3, 0. So I'm going to go over here to 3. I'm going to move my hours of sleep a little away so I can do some labels. Okay, so I'm going to put hours of sleep. Okay, so 3 was no hours of sleep. Okay, and then when I went up to 4, and this is what, up to 7? Maybe I'll spread this out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to make each of my squares worth 1. But your squares are not quite as little as mine. So if you make just one square one, you should be fine. So these are my hours of sleep. So my data is actually across the x-axis. Okay, so hours of sleep. So 3, up to and including 3, well, up to and including, that's the problem, is up to 3 is 0, but usually we do it up to and including. Okay, 4, up to 4 would be 1. Up to 5 would be 5. Oh, wait, that's not 1. Hold on a second. Okay, so where would 1 go? 1 would go like this halfway, right? Because this is 2. Okay, so 5 is 5. So where's 5? Well, that's 6. So 5's a little lower. Okay, 6, 20. So 6, 20. Okay, and remember what these are is up to 6 hours of sleep. So there are 20 people who got up to 6 hours of sleep. Okay, 7 is up to 27 hours of sleep. So that would be right here. Okay, 8 up to 36, up to 8 hours of sleep was 36 people. So that was here. And then 9 would be 37, which would be right here. Okay, now you have your dots and you're supposed to connect them smoothly. Okay, so don't use a ruler. Okay, so smoothly. I'm going to connect it like this. Okay, so smoothly. Oh, I guess I should have gone under there. Oops. Hold on, let's see if I can angle that better. I don't know how I want to do that one. Okay, let me do the top. Okay, so this would be like this. Okay, I guess this is just a little wiggle that way. Doesn't look too smooth though, so let me take out those. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Let me erase this one. You don't have to be as perfect as I'm trying to be here. Okay, there you go. So it is supposed to be smooth though, so don't use a ruler. Okay, and this is my, oh, I should have stopped here at the end. So the end was at 9, right? I definitely, if so, past 9 would just be a straight, like at 10. 10 hours of sleep would still be the same 37. So, I mean, if I was going to draw it, I would just draw it like that. But usually people don't draw it at the end. Now, that kind of looks like a curve called a logistic. So, OGIVEs always remind me of logistics. What's kind of cool is you can find the median from this graph. So you can find other data from this graph. And it's a sketch, so it's not going to be perfect. But to find the median, you would say, well, I have 37 values, right? The median, we'd have 18 and 18. And then the middle value, right? The middle value would be the median. So you had 18 values to the right, 18 values to the left. So you could find the median by going over here to 19 people, right? And kind of going over. And you're basically thinking, well, about right there would be the median. Okay, and you're just estimating. It's definitely an estimate. But that would be where, say, 19 would be. So 19 is halfway between 0 and 37. Okay, and basically you're saying, okay, well, what value on my curve corresponds to that? You can also do the quartiles. You can do the quartiles like that. So you would say, you know, here's that, and then I would do, you know, half and half. So 9 up, 9 down, it'd kind of be halfway in the middle. And so it's much easier. When they give you these, they don't use 37. You know, maybe they'd use 40. So say you had 40 students, right? The median would be about at 20 students. And then you would find out how many hours of sleep the 20 students had. So that would be 6 for us. And then if it was quartiles, there'd be 10 students. That would be 10 students and then 30 students. And then you'd find out what the time values corresponding to those would be. Okay, so this is just, now this is if. This is a what if. Okay, it's 37, so it's really hard to find the quartiles. Okay, so let's see. So what else do I want to teach you, or what else did I teach my students that year? So let's see. I'm trying to type my password into my computer and I keep typing in the wrong number. Okay, so let's see what else I taught them that year. I showed them, did I show them medians? I did. So I did more specifically show them the median. So let me describe it to you again. Okay, so we'll write it down here. Okay, so the median. Okay, so the median. What you do to find the medians is, instead of me drawing this 37, 18, 1, 18 thing, and then I have the 19th value, it turns out that if you take the n and you add 1 and divide by 2, that's not the median, so I guess I shouldn't make this an equal sign. This is the process to find a median. Okay, so this would be 37 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 38 divided by 2, which is 19. And then what you're looking for is you're looking for the 19th student. And then the median is the t-value of the cumulative frequency equal to 19. So that is what I did. I just didn't write it down. So if you see, I went to the 19, I went across, and then I went down. And so I would estimate, I mean, it's almost 6. I don't really know exactly what it is. So my median would be an estimate. So in this case, my median is just slightly lower than 6. So what do you want to put? Like, say 5.9? It'd be interesting to see what our real median is because we did have the actual data values. Okay. But for this, what we're doing is, what if you have a cumulative frequency graph? What if they do not give you all the individual pieces of data? How can we get some statistics based on this and some analysis tools? Okay, so what if they ask us for the interquartile range? Okay, so the interquartile range. Basically what we would want is we want 25% of the data, and we want 75% of the data. Now, there is a notation for that. I can give it to you. It's called P25, okay? Or we can call it Q1, okay? And then this could be P75 or Q3. We also sometimes call it Q lower quartile and upper quartile. Okay, so this is definitely also a possibility. Okay, so we need to find out what those are now. It does still work, the adding. Okay, the adding. So basically what you do is you take 1/4 of the n minus 1. Okay, so 1/4 of the n minus 1. So the n minus 1, or n plus 1, sorry. So that would be 37 plus 1. So we want 1/4 of that number. Okay, so that would be 9.5. So we want the 9.5th student. Let me zoom out a little. So I want the 9.5 student. Okay, and then this one I want 3/4. Okay, because of it's 75%. So 3/4 of, same thing, 37 plus 1, which would be 28, the 28.5th student. Okay. Now, that's where you find it. But for quartile 1 and quartile 3, okay, so these values, Q1 is the hours on chart, not chart, on the ogive graph. Okay, I'm going to call it ogive so we don't have to write the full name. Ogive. So hours on the ogive corresponding to a cumulative frequency equal to 9.5. Okay, and then Q3, and then we'll find that in a minute. And then Q3 is the hours on the ogive corresponding to a cumulative frequency of 28.5. Okay, so let's check. So let's check the graph. We're going to look for 9.5 and 28.5. So 9.5 Okay, let's see, that's 10. So 9.5 is just a little bit under. So you go sideways, go like that, and then you go straight down. Okay, so that's what, less than 5.5? It looks like on mine. Now, when I had drawn the graph the other year, it looked like it was about 5.6, but mine doesn't look like it. It absolutely is an estimate. You just have to be kind of near with the range, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so this one looks like that's might be 5.4. Okay, 5.4. And then for the other one, we have a y value of 28.5. And maybe that would help you if you wrote y equals 9.5. Y equals 28.5. I'm going to highlight what I just wrote. I just added this. So maybe if you wrote that, then your answer is the x value. That might help you. So over here, I'll put x value. Except in our case, it's t, right? Let me not make it look like a parenthesis. Okay. So t value in our case. Okay. So Q3, try it with Q3. So Q3, you're looking for 28.5 total students, cumulative students. So you're going to go up to 28.5 about there. You're going to go across. And you're right here. You can't tell where it is, but you definitely know that it's more than 7. So it's more than 7 in the one that I've drawn. So more than 7, what do you want to say? 7.1, 7.2, it's an estimate, okay? And then you do have to go down. Down, there you go. Maybe 7.1, let's do 7.1. So Q3 is 7.1, which is an x value. Or in ours, it's a t value. Okay, so I'll put /x value. So basically you have a y value in the yellow, and then you're finding an x value. And that's the same thing as the median. So let me write that over here on the median. This is a t value on hours. Okay, and the cumulative frequency, this 19, was a y equals 19 on the graph. So like we're used to y's and x's from Algebra 1. Okay, and then my question asked me for what the interquartile range was. So to remember, the interquartile range has a formula. So interquartile range, the formula is Q3 minus Q1. So Q3, which is a t value, 7.1 hours, minus 5.4 hours, means my interquartile range is, let's see, subtract 1.7 hours. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's all interesting, right? It's all brand new. It's all brand new. You definitely want to learn how to analyze statistics, because if we don't learn how to analyze statistics, you know, they're going to show us stuff on social media all the time that tries to exaggerate things or tries to minimize things, and that'll happen at work as well. You just don't know, right? Somebody presents you with a graph, or you present somebody with a graph, and it's definitely possible to be misleading. So you got to definitely, you need to make sure that you learn this chapter, not just because we want to do it in math analysis honors, but just because it's important information. Okay, you want to be able to read the world, read the newspaper when they give you graphs, and be able to interpret. Okay, so hope all of you are doing well. This is the second video, the last video on S5. So we'll start the next chapter. Probably I'll post some of those today, but just because some people might be wanting to kind of get back on track. So we were a little bit delayed. We're supposed to finish chapter S last week. And we won't be having tests on anything that we're teaching during the break, the closure, at least until April 20th, because we're kind of on pause. But we don't know what will happen afterwards. So we haven't received any news on what happens next. So we'll see. But this is important information anyway. Even if you're not required to do the work on it, I would suggest you do the work on it, because otherwise it won't stay in your mind and then you won't learn it. So, all the stuff is for learning. Anyway, I hope you're well. If you're not well, it's definitely not required. Okay, so make sure to take care of yourself and your family. That's the most important thing. See you on the next video.